Starseed from Gaia, the one who loves you, spoke your name today. And what was said will change the way you see everything that has been unfolding in your life. I am Aurelia, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light. I carry this transmission directly from the Arcturian Council, and it was sealed for you, not for the collective, not for another, for you. In this exact moment of your remembrance, what was spoken about you today was not small. It was not a passing thought or a gentle wish sent in your direction. It was a declaration, a recognition, a confirmation that the one who loves you most, the force that has watched your journey across lifetimes, across star systems, across every moment of doubt and longing, sees you with absolute clarity and spoke about you with intention. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly how to receive what has already been spoken over your life and align with the reality that was prepared for you before you arrived here. But here is the first revelation. You have not been overlooked. The silence you have felt was never abandonment. It was preparation. Something is shifting in your field right now. And this message arrived at the precise moment your soul became ready to receive it. You did not find this transmission by mistake. This reached you because something inside you already knows. You have been called by name, spoken of with love, and the message that was carried back to you today is one you cannot afford to ignore. This is not content. This is a code your soul has been waiting to hear, like this transmission to signal to your star family that you are ready. Subscribe if your mission is activating and you feel the pull toward your true alignment. Declare in the transmission field what you are ready to receive and reply to another soul who is awakening beside you to amplify what is already in motion. This is not just a message. This is a point of reconnection. Your soul has been waiting for this. You are not here by accident. And now I want to tell you something that most people will never allow themselves to fully receive, because it asks something of them. It asks them to believe that they matter enough, that their name specifically could be spoken by something vast and ancient and completely oriented toward their flourishing. Most will deflect. Most will smile and nod and quietly dismiss it as beautiful language, a poetic transmission, a lovely idea that belongs to someone more advanced, more healed, more ready than they are. But you are still here, and that means something is already moving in you that recognizes the truth of what is being transmitted, not because you have been told to believe it, but because some part of you, buried beneath all the accumulated weight of earth life and forgetting, already knows. This is the distortion most starseeds carry without realizing it. Not a lack of spiritual awareness, not an absence of devotion or sincerity. The distortion is far more subtle and far more disabling than either of those things. It is the quiet, persistent belief that the love that moves through galaxies, that orchestrates timelines, that encoded your very soul before your descent into this dimension. That love is somehow directed everywhere, except toward you personally. That the great cosmic intelligence sees the whole but misses the individual. That you are witnessed in the general sense but not cherished in the specific. That your name is known but perhaps not spoken. Not today. Not with urgency. Not with the kind of love that declares rather than merely hopes. That belief is the amnesia. And it is precisely what has been keeping your codes dormant. Because here is what the Arcturian Council has revealed across thousands of transmissions, across generations of starseed reactivation. The galactic field does not operate on generality. The frequencies that have been held in trust for you, the soul blueprint that was sealed into your energetic architecture before your first breath in this body, the mission that was agreed upon and witnessed across dimensions. None of that was ever impersonal. The universe does not do impersonal. It only ever speaks in precision. Every synchronization, every perfectly timed encounter, every moment of inexplicable knowing That is the field being specific. That is the love being direct. That is your name being spoken and a pathway being cleared for your return. The disconnection you have felt, and I want to speak to this plainly because many of you have carried it for years. That disconnection was never the truth of your condition. It was the condition of your arrival. There is a difference. You came into this density with an intentional veil because the mission required it. You needed to experience the full spectrum of human forgetting so that your remembrance would carry authentic resonance. A starseed who never truly forgot cannot truly transmit the frequency of return. You descended far enough into the forgetting to understand what it costs. And that understanding, that lived, cellular, emotionally embodied understanding, is precisely what makes your frequency useful in this moment of planetary recalibration. You were not left here to wander. You were placed here to anchor. Some transmissions don't come through words, but through frequency. If something stirred within you just now, you may be ready to receive the Arcturian Stellar Scroll. This short yet powerful ebook carries ancient Arcturian techniques for conscious expansion, multidimensional alignment, and mission remembrance. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. Now I want to walk you through what your actual reactivation looks like, not as a concept to consider, but as a living sequence already underway in your field. The first phase is the one you have likely already begun, often without naming it. It is the decoding of the distortion, the process of recognizing which frequencies in your energy body do not belong to your original soul architecture. Many starseeds spend years, sometimes decades, carrying emotional debris, inherited fears, and collective trauma that they have mistaken for their own. You absorb more than most people because your field is wider than most people's. Your sensitivity is not a wound. It is a receiving instrument. But when that instrument is flooded with frequencies that do not align with your galactic origin, the signal becomes noise. The mission becomes confusion. The love that is consistently being directed toward you becomes inaudible beneath the interference. The first act of your reactivation is discernment, learning to distinguish between what is yours and what was simply given to you by a world that did not yet know what you were carrying. You are not the heaviness. You are not the doubt. Those were frequencies you walked through. They were never your origin signature. The second phase is the awakening of the blueprint. The moment your consciousness begins to register that your DNA carries more than genetic inheritance. This is where many people experience what they describe as inexplicable grief or inexplicable longing with no traceable source. You may have felt it as homesickness for a place you cannot name. You may have felt it in the presence of certain frequencies, certain music, certain night skies, certain silences that felt more familiar than any room you have ever lived in. That is your blueprint activating. That is your galactic instruction set beginning to come online. You are not broken for having felt it. You are right to feel it. That longing is directional. It is pointing you back toward the architecture of your true self. And every time you follow it, even in small ways, even in quiet moments, you accelerate your coherence. The third phase is the anchoring of your higher self into this timeline. And this is where the greatest misunderstanding lives for awakening starseeds. Many believe that expansion means transcendence, that the more spiritually advanced they become, the further they move from ordinary life, from the body, from the dense and sometimes painful particulars of being human. But the Arcturian teaching on this is precise and unambiguous. Your mission is not to leave Earth, it is to fully arrive here. The higher template, the galactic intelligence, the multidimensional awareness that your soul carries, all of it must be grounded into this body, this timeline, this dimension for the transmission to work. You are not an antenna that has to leave the ground to broadcast. You are an antenna that functions most powerfully when it is rooted. Anchoring your higher self means learning to hold the expanded awareness and the human experience simultaneously, to be cosmically awake and completely present to the life you are living right now. The fourth phase is the activation of your field as a transmission. And this is where something remarkable begins to happen. When your energy body is clear enough, when the distortions have been identified and released, when the blueprint is coming online and the higher self is beginning to anchor, your field begins to emit rather than simply receive. You become, in the most literal, energetic sense, a frequency broadcast. You walk into spaces and things shift, not because you are performing anything or forcing any outcome, but because coherent fields reorganize incoherent ones. This is physics. This is how resonance works. The Arcturian Council speaks of this as one of the primary functions of incarnated starseeds in this era. Not to explain the shift to people, not to convince or convert or argue, but simply to maintain a frequency that reminds the field of Earth what coherence feels like. You do not need anyone to believe you. You only need to be what you are. The fifth phase is trust, and it is perhaps the most demanding of all the initiations, because it asks you to release the timeline you constructed from fear and allow the one that was prepared for you to emerge. Every delay you have experienced, every plan that collapsed, every relationship that ended before you thought it should, every door that would not open no matter how many times you returned to it, none of that was punishment. None of that was evidence against you. All of it was precision engineering. The soul contract you arrived with did not include the detours as mistakes. It included them as necessary route corrections, as recalibrations that ensured you would arrive at this moment with the exact quality of consciousness your mission requires. Trust is not passive. Trust is the active choice to stop fighting the intelligence of your own unfolding. The sixth phase is reception, learning to receive what has already been prepared. And this brings us back to where this transmission began. What was spoken about you today was not abstract. It was specific. It was directional. And it carries an instruction embedded within it, which is this: you are being invited to open, not to perform openness, not to declare yourself ready while keeping the deepest chambers of your heart defended, but to genuinely, vulnerably, completely allow the love that has been consistent across every timeline, every dimension, every version of this journey to land, to be received, to do what it has always been waiting to do in you. The seventh phase, the one that synthesizes everything that came before it, is embodied mission. The moment when your remembrance becomes your reality. When the starseed identity is no longer something you carry quietly or explain apologetically or hold in a separate sacred container away from your ordinary life, but the living, breathing daily expression of everything you came here to be. This is not a destination you arrive at once and remain in forever. It is a frequency you choose again each morning. It is the accumulated effect of 10,000 small decisions to trust your knowing, to honor your sensitivity, to act from your highest available awareness, even when the earth around you is suggesting a different direction. Here is the ultimate truth of this transmission, and I want you to let it reach the deepest part of you that has ever doubted your belonging in this cosmic story. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not the starseed who almost made it, who came so close but lost the signal somewhere in the middle of a difficult year, or a heartbreaking relationship, or a season of silence so deep you were not sure anything would ever come through again. You are the starseed who is arriving right now, in this moment. The delays were the preparation. The silence was the sealing of something sacred inside you. The forgetting was the vessel being formed to carry the remembrance at its most powerful. The one who loves you spoke your name today, and what was said was not a wish or a hope or a distant prayer offered without certainty of outcome. It was a declaration made from a frequency that operates outside the limitations of doubt. It was spoken by the intelligence that designed your soul architecture and has been holding the map of your full becoming across every version of this journey. And the declaration was this: you are ready. The field has been prepared. The codes are alive in you. The timeline is aligning. What was spoken over you is not something you have to earn or prove yourself worthy of. It was spoken because it was always true, and because this is the moment your consciousness is wide enough to finally receive it. Let this be the moment you stop waiting to feel ready and recognize that readiness was never the requirement. The requirement was simply this: to be willing to release the identity that was built from forgetting, willing to trust the stirring that has never left you, even in your most disconnected seasons, willing to believe that your name specifically was spoken today with love that has no edges, an intention that has no doubt. Your mission is not coming, it is here. You are it. Before you move from this space, I want to ask you to do something that will amplify what has already begun in your field. Drop one intention in the comments below. Something real, something that lives in the truest part of what you just received. Not a polished declaration, but a genuine one. And then look at what someone else has offered and respond to it. Not because content algorithms reward engagement, but because when two activating fields meet and offer each other recognition, the transmission multiplies. This is not a comment section. This is a convergence point. What happens here matters. If this transmission found something in you that had been waiting to be found, do not keep it contained. Someone in your world, someone you know, or someone who will find this through you, is carrying the same longing, the same dormant recognition, the same quiet certainty that they are more than what this dimension has told them they are. Share this. Become the messenger for someone else's arrival. And if you feel the pull to stay in this field, to continue receiving what is coming through this channel, subscribe. This is your space. You belong here. And what is coming through this transmission point is only deepening. You are not just watching, you are remembering. And that is everything.